People who watch my channel over the years know that while I like role-playing games, I tend to not play a lot of them. I'd rather beat people up in Double Dragon or blast away aliens in Contra, something fast and arcadey like that. But for some reason, every so often I get the urge, an itch, to play a classic turn-based RPG. However, I have to handpick an RPG I know I can finish, because I'm not seeking 40 plus hours to beat one game. So I have to turn to smaller bursts of role-playing goodness to keep me put.
Don't move.
Enter the Game Boy and the Final Fantasy Legend. Now here's a cart I remember playing for a little bit as a kid. My good friend Brandon had it along with all the other Squaresoft Final Fantasy games on the Game Boy. Today I'm focusing on just the first installment, which, in a bit of trivia, isn't a Final Fantasy game at all. The title was changed thinking it would sell more copies in the West. So, known as Saga in Japan, we embark on a small journey to retrieve 4 stolen orbs of immense magical power. In order to do this, we climb a tower with numerous floors filled with fiendish foes to fillet. Essentially, a Tower of Babel that has numerous pocket worlds in it, just like a TARDIS or something.
Well, you can't go rushing off and leave them in the lurch.
Can't I? Goodbye.
Like I mentioned, the cart must be on the shorter side to hold my interest, and Legend is one of the best with only 4 worlds and the upper portion of a tower to clean out. So that's a big check mark in its favor. It also helps that the enemies dish out lots of money. Even early on in the first few castles and cave areas, you can get some decent coin. And you'll need lots of it too, which leads me to a minor complaint. See, your weapons can break. Each one can only be used a certain number of times before they disintegrate. So if you're deep into the tower and running low on uses, you're just a sitting duck. But otherwise, I really like the simplified combat system they used. It's streamlined and straight to the point. Fight or run, pick your weapon, spell or item, select an enemy, and boom, you're on your way. And you don't really have to worry about grinding for levels here. That's one thing this cart does differently. If you pick the human class, you basically buy your stat increases ranging from strength, agility, and hit points. And early into the Sky World, I had nearly maxed out my human character, so I was pretty overpowered and it felt great. I have to mention the mutant class here. They're the all-stars of the game. They can't carry as much gear as their human counterparts because their slots are reserved for their powers, but their stats balloon up pretty quick as you kill enemies, and they were my clear-cut powerhouses throughout my entire run. The only downside to them are their wildly mutating powers. You can have powerful spells like ice, thunder, or gas, stuff that can hit for big damage, and then a few battles later it all changes up again. You can be left with stinkers like Electro, Stench, ESP, or others that are just practically useless. But otherwise, mutants are where it's at. I do want to point out one of the biggest complaints I have with Final Fantasy Legend, the inventory management. Good lord, is it rough. You only get precious few item spots for all your junk. There's no special page for your key quest items you pick up from bosses, and I found myself trashing potions just to make room for those key items. And it's not like the game tells you it's safe to get rid of specific items either. You can easily softlock the game by dumping an old quest item you thought you didn't need anymore, just to find out you can't advance past a certain point without it. Very frustrating.
Jesus!
Also, during my playthrough, I didn't bother with the monster class. Chowing down on the meat of slain enemies can transform your pet monster into a different creature. Maybe stronger, maybe weaker. It's a gamble you take each time you eat that mystery meat. They're just not as versatile as the mutant class or as solid as humans. Plus, they can't carry anything, so they seem rather useless in my book. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. It is a shame though, because it was a neat concept. One of my favorite parts in the Final Fantasy Legend was the 4th world, the Ruins. I think it was so cool to wander around a once futuristic city in a medieval setting. What also makes this area unique was the fact that there's just one enemy that can be encountered above ground. A giant firebird called Suzaku. And he is the boss of the area. It's crazy. And on top of that, you can't kill him because of a barrier he has up. So you have no choice but to run, no matter how strong you are. You'll need to gather ingredients around the city in order to dissolve his barrier, so it's a mad dash on your motorcycle into underground passageways just to avoid him. The end portion of the tower can be a bit of a slog. The encounter rates seem to drastically shoot up here. The creatures you'll face are nothing to scoff at either. You'll get your butt handed to you if you're underleveled or careless. What I found pretty amusing that at the top of the tower, after all this fighting you've done, you meet the creator, the final boss of the game, perhaps the lead designer, I don't know. But if you're lucky enough to have a chainsaw equipped, you can kill him in one shot. Isn't that cool? Overall, I had a great time playing the Final Fantasy Legend. It may have some annoying bits to it, but they're minor in all honesty. It's a quicker RPG to play, so if you can't play one of those sprawling epics on the SNES, try this one.
Hell yeah.
I might check out the other great Game Boy RPGs like Sword of Hope and the other Legend games. What do you guys think? Do you like any of the Game Boy RPGs? Let me know down in the comment section below. I'm Will. For those about the retro, we salute you. Take care.